Everyone reluctantly said their goodbyes. Bianca was puzzled. Why be so sad when they would meet again? Lonnie eagerly confirmed with the princess. You mean we can meet again, right? Of course, if you're busy, we don't have to. I really enjoyed the time I spent with the princess. Bianca happily hugged her, saying they were now friends and must meet often to play together. Henry smiled watching this scene. The still childish Andy thought he was coveting Lolo's cheeks, but actually he was interested in Lolo herself. So he took out a carefully prepared pink ribbon, placed it in Lonnie's hand, and promised to bring an even better gift next time they met. Then the carriage departed. Lonnie suddenly felt a bit lost. The Duchess comforted her not to be too sad. You'll meet again soon. For the first time, Lonnie actively expressed her true feelings, expressing her reluctance to part with the princess and prince. She looked down on Lonnie, the orphan, just a commoner, yet she had landed in such a privileged position. It's okay, just tell me when you miss the princess. We can go see her together. Lonnie was grateful to have met such a wonderful family. So she stood up and curtsied, thanking them for making every day of her life so happy. The three were stunned. The Duchess particularly felt her sister was right. Lonnie might truly possess a divine charm that made everyone find her adorable. Just then, the butler rushed in with urgent news. There was a woman at the door claiming to be Miss Lonnie's birth mother. The Duke was planning to adopt the girl from the orphanage. But now, a woman claiming to be her birth mother had appeared. The Duke felt something was suspicious about this. And the Duchess was very distressed. If she had some unavoidable circumstances, then Lonnie would understand and leave with her mother. Just thinking about it broke her heart. The water's dripping on the floor, wipe it up and get dressed. The Duke noticed his wife's concerns, but the woman's identity wasn't confirmed yet. Everything would be discussed after meeting her, so the Duke ordered his subordinates to investigate the truth quickly while he received the guest. Meanwhile, the Duchess came to the room. Planning to have a private talk with Lonnie, after sending her son out, she asked Lonnie if she remembered what her birth mother looked like. After learning she was too young to remember. The Duchess still told her about her mother's arrival. The sudden news was hard for Lonnie to accept, but they still needed to verify if she was genuine. Besides your name at the orphanage, do you have any other names? The girl couldn't remember anything. She only knew her mother had left her at the orphanage. Meanwhile, the Duke was in the reception room. The woman introduced herself as Louisa Bennet and said Lonnie was originally called Chloe, a name given by her deceased husband. Due to extreme hardship, she had to leave her at the orphanage. They gave her a similar name, Lonnie. Lonnie looked at the dress on the bed with delight. She couldn't believe she got to wear such a beautiful dress. She thought the orphanage was reliable but didn't expect the director to be so vicious. When I went to find my child later, I heard she was taken away. You can't imagine how surprised I was. Someone of your high status adopting a child born to someone as lowly as me and even willing to support her, I'm truly grateful. The woman's expression was suspicious, but the Duke considered their matching hair color and her knowledge of the orphanage. He thought she might really be Lonnie's birth mother, but coming to claim her child only after hearing about the Duke's support seemed too opportunistic. The Duke thought that even if she was the birth mother, there was no need to return the child, but if Lonnie wanted to live with her mother, he had no right to stop her. Just then, the Duchess brought Lonnie in. The woman immediately rushed forward and hugged the child tightly. Lonnie froze in shock. A woman appearing out of nowhere, claiming to be the Duke's adopted daughter's birth mother, immediately rushed to embrace her. Lonnie stood there stunned. The Duchess quickly pulled the woman away. Can't you see you frightened the child? Even if you're her birth mother, please don't touch her so casually. What are you standing there for? Do you want me to dress you? The woman's sudden outburst startled Lonnie. The Duke gently asked Lonnie if she had any memory of the name Chloe, but Lonnie couldn't remember anything. The woman broke down crying, sincerely apologizing to Lonnie. I'm sorry mother came so late. Lonnie thought meeting her mother would make her happy, but her current feelings were like facing the orphanage director, frightening. The Duke temporarily arranged for them to stay in the guest room and sent the shocked Lonnie to rest. Lonnie's mind was filled with sadness about leaving this place. Andy, hearing the news, rushed to ask, are you really leaving? If she really is your birth mother, will you leave here and return to her side? Lonnie didn't know how to answer. The next moment Andy was caught by Sir Kaz. It was still training time. Andy had just sneaked out. He struggled on his back, begging Lolo not to leave. This made Lonnie even more afraid. Once she left this place, she would never see brother Andy again. The Duke and Duchess, I am the teacher and brother, yes. Thinking of them, she couldn't help but cry. She quickly said she could manage, but after the maid left the room, she was lost in thought. I just hoped she could be happy, following her own heart would be fine. Lonnie realized she only felt reluctant to leave this place. She hadn't thought about her mother at all. And whenever she thought about possibly living with her mother, she felt dizzy and trembled. Just then, Levin suddenly appeared. The Duke had sent him to protect her. But Lonnie declined, saying she might leave this place soon anyway, but Levin firmly stated that wherever Lonnie went, he would follow. Meanwhile, in the guest room, the woman's maid was marveling at the Duke's mansion's luxury. Louise is suddenly smirked. It seems that child doesn't remember anything from her childhood. She doesn't even remember her mother. How pitiful. I'll try my best to make her accept me as her mother. Was she really Lonnie's birth mother? The woman with her pink long hair claimed to be the Duke's adopted daughter's birth mother. But actually, she had visited the orphanage a few days ago. She had gotten close to the children using candies and secretly inquired about Lonnie's past. Upon learning that she always hid alone, she guessed it must have been to hide her identity as a girl. The moment she saw Roni, her heart melted. How was she supposed to put this on? Suddenly, Andy's voice came from outside the door. Soon, the first formal meal began. The woman had never seen such a lavish meal and started eating greedily without manners, like a starving ghost. Meanwhile, Andy, as always, thoughtfully cut up his sister's favorite food. The Duke also passed her the newest dishes. Even the Duchess had prepared her favorite dessert. The woman then realized she had slipped up. She hurriedly pushed the food in front of her, explaining this was her first time eating such delicious food. That's why she acted this way. She would definitely make it up to her later. These words made the Duke and Duchess very sad, feeling they might lose Lonnie at any moment. Just then, the butler came saying there was urgent news to report. Only 3 people remained in the vast dining room. Andy was afraid his sister would leave soon, so he decided to spend more time playing together while she was still here. He pulled her outside while the so-called mother continued gorging herself, not sparing them a single glance. Meanwhile, the Duke saw the recent investigation report. Lolo, the boy exclaimed excitedly, "Big Brother's here to get you." The woman's identity matched what she claimed. Strangely, it stated she had visited the orphanage before, saying she wanted to adopt a child. So she likely used adoption as an excuse to gather information about Lonnie, because back then, the director had said the person who brought the child claimed she was of noble birth. Yet this woman repeatedly called herself lowly. The Duke felt very guilty. He shouldn't have let them meet so hastily. In the end, it was Lonnie who got hurt. Then he suddenly remembered the children were still with that woman. He quickly ordered the knights to apprehend the 2 women. At this time, the woman pretending to be a maid was angry about missing breakfast at the Duke's mansion. But now all they needed to do was trick Lonnie into coming with them. It turned out he was kicked out before for abusing Lonnie. It was your sister, Bait. The 2 wicked people made a plan for revenge. They found Louisa, who looked similar, paid her a large sum to act along. The maid who had bathed her earlier asked with concern, "How are you feeling?" Andy was unaware of what had happened. He had already planned that after making a fortune, he would abandon Lonnie at an unknown orphanage. However, he then encountered the searching guards. Obviously, the Duke had discovered something. Just then, Louisa appeared, still gloating about how delicious breakfast was. Bait immediately grabbed him and ran outside. The Duke learned they failed to catch the 2. With a grim face, he ordered them to intensify the search. Moreover, a commoner couldn't be so familiar with the mansion. There must be an accomplice inside. These words terrified the 2, so they decided to target Lonnie. At this time, the 2 children were playing on the lawn. Andy was very sad thinking about his sister leaving, but he couldn't stop her from leaving with her birth mother. "You can come back to play anytime. I'll be waiting for you." The 2 hugged and cried together. Just then, the 2 evil women appeared. Louisa used wanting to talk privately as an excuse. She forced a smile and opened her arms to Lonnie. "Chloe, come to mother." Lonnie quickly said she was fine. When they were alone, she asked the maid to keep it a secret. The woman had impersonated the Duke's adopted daughter's birth mother for money. After being discovered, she immediately found the girl and played on her emotions. Though Andy was reluctant, he felt he couldn't prevent their mother-daughter reunion. So after saying a few words, he turned and left. Seeing Lonnie's hesitation, the woman immediately used emotional manipulation. "I know I don't deserve to be a mother, but could you give me another chance? I promise I'll do my best to make up for everything." Lonnie was immediately moved. She cried and rushed into her mother's arms, but when she touched the woman, she felt a numbing pain like being pricked by a needle. And black smoke appeared behind her mother, so she backed away in fear. Just then, searching sounds came from afar. The woman instantly revealed her vicious face. Just before she could touch Lonnie, Levin appeared heroically in front of her. Andy, who had just left, also returned to check the situation. Soon, the woman was arrested by the knights. But it wouldn't be long before everyone found out. Soon, their first family dinner together began. The Duchess warmly called her darling and asked if she had slept well. The dude called Lonnie lovingly in his arms, softly comforting her that it was just a nightmare. Sleep well, everything will be fine. Meanwhile, the two women were blaming each other, shifting responsibility. Lonnie finally broke down, crying uncontrollably. That night she developed a high fever. The Duke and Duchess immediately called for the family doctor. The Duchess was so worried she cried. Lonnie felt warmth seeing the scene before her. Brother Andy must be worried about her too, and Brother Yes as well. With these thoughts, she gradually fell asleep when she opened her eyes again. Surprisingly, Brother Yes, who was away studying, appeared before her. The girl sat up in shock. It turned out Yes learned about Lonnie's situation from the Duchess's letter. So he rushed back immediately. He took the porridge from beside, saying, "You probably don't have much strength now. Let me feed you." Lonnie was very embarrassed and quickly said she had recovered, she could eat by herself. Even Andy thoughtfully cut her steak for her and told her to take a big bite. Although the mother was fake, meeting so many good people made her feel very fortunate. Soon Lonnie recovered her health. They all played happily together like before. Yes also joined him after sword practice. This time he was at for hide and seek. And he pulled Levin away and disappeared. Lonnie was nervous and didn't know what to do. Then she remembered Levin had hidden under the sofa earlier, so she quickly tried to crawl under it but unexpectedly got caught on something. Yes turned and immediately spotted Lonnie. He quickly went to help her get unstuck. Her adorable appearance made Yes laugh. This made Lonnie so embarrassed that tears came out. "Sorry, you're just too cute." Hearing Brother Yes praise made Lonnie's heart flutter, so she very seriously said, "Brother Yes, I really, really like you." Lonnie opened her mouth wide, stuffing it full like a little hamster. The girl confessed loudly to her brother. Brother gently patted her head and also expressed his affection. At this time, the two who had hidden well heard Lonnie's loud shout and quickly ran out, but due to the game rules, they were caught red-handed. The innocent Andy was only focused on arguing with his brother about what just happened, while the attentive Levin noticed the dejected girl on the ground and quickly helped her up. Following the girl's gaze, he discovered a secret that the girl liked Yes. Although his heart was very sad, as long as he could see Lonnie happy, he would be content. However, happy days always pass quickly. Yes eventually had to return to the academy to continue studying. Lonnie became very gloomy. She didn't even have the appetite for her favorite cupcakes. The Duchess thought she hadn't recovered and worriedly asked her to go rest. Hearing this, Lonnie quickly started eating big bites. "I'm fine, the cake is delicious." The Duke and Duchess apologized again for this incident. "We're sorry you had to go through this." It was adorable and both the Duchess and Andy were charmed. "We want to become your real family. You can rely on us anytime. So would you like to be our daughter?" Lonnie was very conflicted inside. She knew the Duke's family were all good people. Meeting them was a blessing and she could be happy forever with them. But after careful thought, she still declined. "I'm sorry, but I still want to wait for my mother. Although I can't remember what she looks like, and I don't know why she sent me to the orphanage. But I want to see her again to get clear answers about everything." The Duke and Duchess showed complete understanding. They embraced Lonnie, saying, "You don't need to apologize. Tell us when you're ready, after you've resolved your feelings," as Lonnie felt their warm embrace. A few days later, the Duchess suggested hosting a tea party. "It's so good, it's so delicious." Andy beamed with pride. "See, listening to your big brother is always right." After all, Lonnie didn't have many friends or age yet, but Lonnie was afraid of meeting someone like Lady Lydia again, making Brother Andy defend her. So she became very hesitant. The Duchess comforted her, saying she could invite whoever she wanted to the tea party like Princess BB. Lonnie felt a little hopeful again. Maybe she could meet gentle friends like the princess. So as of making up her mind, she expressed her desire to attend the tea party. Soon the day of the tea party arrived. Lonnie was beautifully dressed up, looking even more adorable than ever. With a nervous yet excited heart, would she be able to make friends today? Many friends asked where to find the cute Lonnie. Find the section, enter Lolo reads Korean manga completely, click to read for free. The Duchess hosted a tea party for her adopted daughter, but unexpectedly it threw the girl into a storm. Today was the day of the tea party. Just then, Andy noticed Lonnie's sleeve had touched the stake. The place was decorated beautifully. Lonnie could hardly believe how grand it was, so she sincerely expressed her gratitude to the Duchess. Just then, Levin suddenly appeared. He was also carefully dressed today, looking even more handsome than usual. Originally, the Duchess wanted to choose a lively, cute girl as company. But the Duke thought Levin would be better. Not only was he familiar with Lonnie, but he had also attended many social events. Indeed, Levin's presence helped Lonnie relax her nervous feelings. Suddenly, a maid brought a letter. It turned out Princess Bianca had developed a high fever yesterday. Although she was very much looking forward to this meeting, she couldn't get up, so she couldn't come today. The Duchess was very worried, but the tea party had already begun and canceling now was impossible. Lonnie indeed showed signs of wanting to withdraw, but she didn't want to waste the Duchess' kindness. So she actively said she was fine, plus Levin was there, so there was no need to worry. How could there be such an adorable little girl? The next second, Andy, the Duke's second son, burst in yelling. He quickly rolled up her sleeve. The bruises on her wrist were alarming. The Duchess felt relieved and told her if she felt uncomfortable at any point, she could leave early. And so the tea party began. The guests were Agnes from the Earl's family and Sylvia from the Viscount's family. After they introduced themselves, the Duchess greeted them and left. Just as the three sat down, Agnes began expressing her envy, saying, "I heard the Duke's family is supporting you, even your dress is so beautiful." However, Sylvia suddenly started talking about their tea. Surprisingly, it was the finest tea from Mount Balon, but clearly Lonnie knew nothing about it. This drew Sylvia's disapproval, a fallen noble getting to enjoy such fine resources, how unfair. Then she noticed Levin beside them. She asked maliciously, "Is he assigned by the Duke's house to serve you? Did you choose him because he's handsome?" Lonnie stammered, not knowing how to explain. After all, Levin wasn't just her companion. Lonnie immediately knelt down, begging them not to send her away. "I know such ugly marks don't belong here," she pleaded. Seeing this, Sylvia smiled maliciously. "Perhaps there's something we shouldn't know about." Before she could finish, Levin stepped in to defend. "I apologize for interrupting, but I chose the young lady." An orphanage girl at her first noble ladies' tea party was being bullied by the ill-intentioned Viscount's daughter. Levin boldly stood up for her, saying he had decided to dedicate everything to her. Then to the panicked Lonnie, he gave a reassuring smile. Sylvia, who didn't get her way, was seething with anger. Why would such an excellent boy be Lonnie's companion? While my attendant is so inferior, how much I can pay more than she does? Levin looked at her as if she were a fool. Lonnie hurriedly explained that Levin wasn't that kind of person. However, Sylvia clearly wouldn't let it go. Just then, Lady Rolana of the Duke's household told her. She was from one of the Empire's only 3 great ducal families, the only daughter of the Alyssa family. Despite her young age, she showed great wisdom. It was rumored she would become the queen of social circles. The Duchess had invited her out of necessity, unknown whether it would be a blessing or curse for Lonnie. "But please don't send me away." To her surprise, the Duke didn't say a word. At that moment, Lonnie offered her cream puff to Rolana. Fortunately, it wasn't rejected. This gave her more confidence. Perhaps they could become friends. This made Sylvia even angrier. How dare she get to invite the noble Lady Rolana? Just then Agnes suddenly asked. "My mother heard from Viscount Rawdon that the Duke brought you back for some purpose, but he didn't say what it was. So what exactly is it?" Lonnie knew her orphan status had been hidden, so she couldn't directly tell the truth. But Sylvia, with ill intentions, began to probe, implying the Duke had ulterior motives for bringing Lonnie back. Lonnie could sense from Sylvia a very unpleasant aura, just like that fake mother from before. "Don't you know either, Lonnie?" How could she not know? After all, they're close enough to hold such a tea party. He simply led her to the carriage. "May I ask you something? Were those bruises inflicted by the headmaster?" Though Lonnie didn't understand what they were implying, she could tell they were insulting the Duke. She absolutely wouldn't allow this, so she gathered her courage and firmly objected. "Stop it, Sylvia, the Duke isn't that kind of person." However, Rolana, who had been silent until now, suddenly laughed. "How interesting. Why not let her continue? How boring would the tea party be without such topics?" A timid girl bravely standing up to defend the Duke, claiming he's a good person. Don't let the young lady speak ill of her. However, the court lady Rolana indicated this was interesting, gesturing for her to continue. Sylvia was overjoyed, thinking this was a perfect opportunity to connect with the Duke's daughter. And a chance to eliminate the proud and arrogant Lonnie. I heard the Duke himself likes children, that's why he used sponsorship as an excuse to bring them in. I also heard those children disappeared. Lonnie angrily retorted, the Duke is absolutely not that kind of person. Sylvia seized the opportunity to act innocent, trying to gain favor. Unexpectedly, Rolana directly refuted, the rumors must be wrong. Lonnie trembled, afraid to answer. Thinking she was still scared of him, the Duke spoke softly. The Duke would never do such things. Besides, Viscountess Rawdon wouldn't spread such rumors carelessly. Rolana knew about the Duke's refusal to loan money to Viscountess Rawdon. Unexpectedly, this led to such slander. Given the situation, Sylvia and Agnes, shouldn't you apologize to Lonnie? The Count's daughter immediately expressed sincere apologies to Lonnie, while Sylvia was furious, until the court lady reminded her again. She reluctantly went through the motions. Lonnie finally beamed with joy. If you saw him in person, you would definitely like the Duke too. Although he seemed scary at first, he's actually a very gentle person. Agnes became excited immediately, hoping to visit Lonnie's house and meet young Master Yes. If you invite us, I'll invite you too. The three happily made a pinky promise together. Lonnie was overjoyed, feeling that Rolana was like the princess, both good people. If you feel uncomfortable living with us, I can find someone else to care for you. In her innocence, she didn't hold a grudge when Sylvia invited her to join. And to please court lady Rolana, despite her inner displeasure, she smiled and agreed. Unexpectedly, Rolana's strange look startled her. She blamed everything on Lonnie from the bottom of her heart, but still smiled as she joined them. However, when her hand was placed on top, Lonnie suddenly felt a sharp pain. The atmosphere suddenly became very awkward. What was going on? The girl adopted from the orphanage by the Duke had royal blood. The first tea party finally ended successfully. Lonnie happily told Ayn she made 3 friends. Court lady Rolana was excellent in every way. Agnes was quite curious. In Sylvia, Lonnie suddenly paused, feeling she gave off a strange aura. But the girl didn't think much of it, assuming she was just in a bad mood. But we all hope you'll stay with us. To avoid worrying Ayn, she didn't mention any of the unpleasant things. However, just as she was about to go to sleep, she suddenly felt a pain and fainted, then developed a high fever again. Everyone anxiously stayed by her side, and Andy was crying heavily with worry. I can't live without Lolo. If you cure Lolo, I'll do anything. The family doctor was amused by this scene and started joking with the child. Anything, then can I make Miss Lolo my little sister and take her with me? Seeing Andy genuinely scared, the doctor quickly explained it was just a joke and the young lady was fine, just that she might not be ready for tea parties yet. The Duchess felt somewhat guilty. She had been too hasty. She had fallen ill before during the fake mother incident, but Lonnie's constitution seemed somewhat weak. The Duchess suddenly remembered when she was her age she had similar experiences due to divine power. And the family doctor said Lonnie's recovery was faster than normal. Could Lonnie also possess divine power? Of course, only if you're willing. His words warmed Lonnie's heart. That would mean Lonnie has royal blood. The next day, Lonnie had completely recovered. The 2 little ones played happily on the lawn. Then the Duchess suddenly appeared, saying they should all have afternoon tea together. To celebrate Lonnie's recovery, then she led Andy away. The Duchess decided to confirm whether Lonnie truly possessed divine power. Child, I have someone to ask you. Have you ever sensed any strange auras? The Duchess suspected the adopted child was a royal princess and wanted to confirm if she had divine power. So she asked if she had sensed strange auras in special situations. Lonnie indeed had such experiences, worried that something was wrong with her and would trouble the Duke and Duchess. It's not like that, I'm just worried if you're feeling unwell anywhere. Hearing this, Lonnie felt relieved and explained her unusual experiences. It was like I met the fake mother and Sylvia even when they were smiling. Even when they were being nice to me, there was still a strange feeling. It even made me feel sick. This was indeed an important point, but based on this alone, they couldn't confirm it was divine power. But when she looked up, she saw the orphanage. Was the Duke returning her? Perhaps she was just more sensitive than ordinary children. To know for sure, they would need to release divine power into her body. But if the types of divine power were different, they would clash and put her in danger, so the Duchess was unwilling to do this. Perhaps they could think of other safer methods. The next day, the attendant brought what the Duke had requested. But judging by his expression, it wasn't what he had expected. Just then, Lonnie suddenly appeared. The Duke hurriedly hid the item like a thief and greeted the child with a smile. "I've been so busy with official duties, I haven't had time to see you." Lonnie immediately curtsied with a bright smile. "Duke, are you well?" Duke Kong became sad immediately. Lolo had become so formal with him, and Andy burst out laughing because no one at home greeted people like that. Lonnie's face turned bright red with embarrassment. This was the etiquette she learned from the princess, who would have thought it would turn into such a mix-up. And he taught her step by step how to properly greet people at home. The bruises she had tried so hard to hide had been discovered. Without a word, the Duke brought her back to the orphanage. The Duke was completely charmed by this scene. "Where are you two going?" After learning they were going to meet the princess and prince, the Duke smiled and told them to have fun. Suddenly, he remembered something very urgent. He grabbed Andy. "You haven't forgotten about that incident, have you?" They were referring to when the prince kissed Lonnie's hand last time. Father and son immediately made up their minds. This kind of thing absolutely must not happen again. On her first visit to the palace, the girl unexpectedly learned about divine power. Just now, Lonnie and Andy arrived at the palace garden. The princess prepared cookies to apologize for missing the tea party. Lonnie didn't mind at all and sincerely said it was fine. The foodie Andy was about to grab the delicious cookies, but was stopped by Bianca on the spot. The two friendly rivals argued, neither willing to back down. Prince Henry asked how the tea party went and if she made any close friends. Lonnie talked endlessly about this, saying she made 3 new friends. There were Lorna, Agnes, and Sylvia. It was really fortunate to attend the tea party. "I told you I don't need a playmate." As soon as he finished, he saw Roni. The headmaster came out, feigning remorse. She assumed the person in the carriage was the Duke's daughter. Bianca was surprised that even the palace maid Lorna went. After all, attending a tea party at the Duke's mansion could even rise to a political level. Henry noticed Lonnie was all smiles, much more cheerful than before. Lolo tried these cookies. They're super delicious. Just as Lonnie was about to take the cookie, and he suddenly snatched it away with one bite. Because of the last incident, he decided to never give Henry a chance to get close to Lolo. The princess then asked what game they wanted to play today. Lonnie thought for a moment, smiling. She said she wanted to play house. Henry immediately suggested Lolo be the mother. "I'll be the father," and he also competed, fighting to be the father. The two fought, neither willing to give in. Seeing this, Lonnie quickly called out, "I have a good idea," and she suggested letting Erwin be the father. But when she saw Lonnie's face, she erupted in fury. "That brat, how dare she trick me?" The two still argued intensely about who would be the brother. Only Erwin silently thought to himself, "What are they doing? Don't they all know family members can't marry each other?" Lonnie, who grew up without family or friends, didn't know about this, except for the royal family where half-siblings could marry. Marriage between other family relations wasn't allowed. Legend had it that in the age when divine power was common, noble families would adopt children with divine power and have them marry into the family to obtain divine power. Later, clear laws were established to prevent this practice. Lonnie was heartbroken. This meant that becoming family with the Duke meant she couldn't marry brother, yes. But how do you know if someone has divine power? Bianca mocked Andy's ignorance. Then she naturally took Lonnie's hand to demonstrate. Like this, release divine power into the body. If there's no divine power, you won't feel anything. However, the next second, a tingling electric current passed through their hands. Bianca was completely stunned. Then she asked Lolo in disbelief, "Do you have divine power?" The girl's possession of divine power was discovered. The princess quickly reported this to the Duchess. The Duchess had actually suspected this already. Now, when the princess accidentally injected pure divine power into Lonnie, there was a resonance between them. She continued to slander Lonnie, claiming she was a habitual liar. This meant that Lonnie likely possessed the same royal divine power. The Duke hoped the girl wouldn't tell others yet. As for the reasons that followed, he couldn't hear them clearly, just feeling very happy. Having special divine power, just like brother, just made her feel closer to him, so she promised not to tell anyone. Then she left the room smiling. A few days later, Lonnie received an invitation from Agnes. While looking forward to the gathering, she wondered what gift to bring. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew around her and carried away the letter in her hand. Lonnie hurriedly chased after it and arrived at a dark, scary cave. Even so, she gathered her courage and walked in. This didn't look like a basement at all, but rather had a solemn and dignified atmosphere. Suddenly, a sword appeared before her, an incredibly strong aura emanated from it, as if it was calling to her. Just as Lonnie was about to reach for it, she heard Brother Yes' voice from behind, "Lolo, what are you doing here?" But the Duke didn't believe her. He smiled at Lonnie and said, "Don't worry, speak freely, tell me everything." Lonnie told the truth. She came in looking for the invitation, then she couldn't help but ask about the sword. Yes noticed her curiosity and began explaining. "This is the family's divine artifact, the Spear of Ares. It looks like an arrow, but once divine power is injected, it transforms into a spear." Although Yes wanted to demonstrate, he couldn't do it yet because to inherit this divine artifact, one must completely erase the spiritual power of the previous owner's imprint. After clearing it, one must imprint their own divine power and assimilate it into the divine artifact. Only after completing this step can one truly become the artifact's master, but I'm still far from that. Seeing Brother Yes looking somewhat dejected, Lonnie quickly affirmed with determination. "I believe you can definitely do it, so don't force yourself too much." At this moment, Yes had already decided that to protect Lonnie, he must secure his position as the next family head. Time passed quickly. On the day of the gathering, the Duke and Duchess personally saw Lonnie off. Whether it was the reportedly frightening Duke speaking gently to her, or this luxurious farewell procession, even real palace maids didn't receive such treatment. This aroused Sylvia's jealousy, but she smirked maliciously where no one could see. Halfway through the carriage ride, Sylvia suddenly said she needed to relieve herself. Reassured, Lonnie found her courage and shouted she's lying. Then she ran into the small forest alone. Erwin felt something was very strange and was about to get off to check the surroundings. The next second, an arrow shot towards Lonnie Felibus. Thousands of arrows flew towards the carriage, instantly piercing all doors and windows. Young Lonnie trembled in fear, while Levin calmly suggested leaving the carriage. At this moment, several burly men emerged from the grass. The soldiers' attention was drawn to them, but there was still someone in the grass. Secretly shooting an arrow at the horse's rear, the horse immediately jumped in pain. The carriage instantly lost its balance. Just as the carriage was about to fall on Lonnie, Erwin quickly rescued her. But he himself lost consciousness. At this moment, Levin, who was fighting the bandits, suddenly shouted, "Young lady, don't worry about anything." Ron only then did Lonnie come to her senses. Perhaps leaving here would be the best help for everyone. "It's the headmaster who lies. She beat my friend Pete to death even though he did nothing wrong." However, before she could take action, a man grabbed her from behind. Levin tried his best to rescue her, not backing down even when facing the fierce bandits. But the next second, he was severely wounded by the bandit leader. He could only watch helplessly as Lonnie was taken away. Sylvia, arriving late, saw the casualties at the scene. She immediately realized she had made a terrible mistake. She had thought Marcus Rotten's daughter would only teach Lonnie a lesson. She never expected things would go this far. At this moment, the Duke and Duchess were still unaware of what happened. They were personally making a small doll for Lonnie's meals. It took a month to complete, but they still felt that. The purple crystal couldn't compare to Lonnie's eyes at all, so the Duke paid an astronomical price for a purple diamond. Now they were just waiting for it to arrive to replace the crystal. The Duchess was already imagining Lonnie receiving the doll, jumping around happily in her adorable way. The headmaster stammered, clearly guilty. The Duke immediately had her taken away. However, at this time, a guard rushed in to report. Young Lady Lonnie had been kidnapped by enemies. The Duke immediately ordered a team to search the Saba forest. But because it was Count Till in his territory, even the Duke couldn't interfere freely. So he made a decision. He promised to have someone a favor. The guard's expression was shocked, as this was a very valuable promise. The Mars family, known for always repaying debts, saying they would owe a favor was a rare occurrence. The Duke learned that some bandits were captured and imprisoned in the dungeon. His expression turned cold as he said, "Lead me there. I will interrogate them personally." At this time, the prince and princess happened to arrive. The Duke had wanted to give Lonnie a surprise, but instead received such terrible news. As prince, Henry couldn't freely interfere in noble affairs, but this concerned Lonnie's safety. She couldn't stand by idly, so she decided to secretly join the search team. That evening, they finally returned to the mansion. The Duchess and Andy were waiting anxiously. As soon as they saw Lonnie, they rushed to her, checking for injuries. Meanwhile, the kidnapped Lonnie slowly regained consciousness. Seeing the masked person before her, she quickly closed her eyes, planning to find the right moment to leave clues for the Duke. Just then, the carriage suddenly jolted. The pattern on the masked person's clothes was revealed. Lonnie immediately recognized it as the symbol of the rotten mark was family, so the mastermind was Lady Lydia. The girl had fallen victim to a premeditated kidnapping, and the mastermind was actually the Duke's sister's daughter. Her pitiful appearance caused guilt and fear among the kidnappers. After all, as knights, they had their own honor. Moreover, the girl was sponsored by the Mars family. If discovered, they feared for their lives. At this time, Lonnie asked tearfully, "Can I go to the bathroom?" Fortunately, they only gave verbal warnings and stopped watching her. It was impossible to escape in the current situation, so she looked around for something to write with, planning to leave some clues. Although she was afraid of pain, getting back to her family was the most important thing. They fussed over her with concern. Lonnie couldn't believe it. So she bit the inside of her lip until it bled and took off her sock, writing several English letters on it, hoping the Duke could find her with this clue. Alone in the carriage, Lonnie was heartbroken, not knowing how the injured Levin was doing. And those night uncles, she really missed everyone. Suddenly the carriage stopped. A familiar voice rang out, "This situation suits you so well." The person was indeed Lydia. The vicious girl slapped Lonnie without saying another word. The force was so strong it startled even the knights. "I couldn't slap you then, so now I'm giving you double. Now there's no Annie to protect you and no brother Yes for you to act cute with. What will you do?" Lydia laughed maniacally, not at all like how a child should behave. From the beginning, Lonnie was the one wrongfully treated, but Lydia played the victim instead. "Don't expect Uncle to come find you, because you'll never see him again." She had found such kind people simply because the Duke had believed her unconditionally. Lonnie was shocked. "Are you gonna kill me? I'm not that bad of a person. I'm just sending you back where you belong." Lydia's laugh was very sinister. It immediately reminded Lonnie of those dark days. Who could save her now? Meanwhile, the Duke had arrived at the forest with his men. Levin felt extremely guilty for failing to protect Lonnie, not considering that he was still just a child himself. Besides, he was injured too. "Lord Duke, regarding this incident, may I share my thoughts?" "What have you thought of?" "Count Tilda's territory is an illegal trafficking ground. Slave trading is very common there. And the largest port in Pac is a hotbed for human trafficking, so that place is very suspicious." The Duke found this intelligence very credible, so he immediately sent people there. He asked his mother, puzzled why she had brought home a doll. Everyone present couldn't help but laugh. She was beyond words with gratitude. Just then, and he found the clue Lonnie had left. The letters clearly hinted at the Rodden Marquis mansion. Could they be the mastermind? So the Duke sent people to check the Marquis mansion and sent young Andy back to the estate. Then he hurriedly led his men to the port. At this moment, Lonnie was locked up. After feeling around, she discovered there was a bathroom nearby. If that's the case, there must be ventilation for the bathroom. She had to leave quickly before being discovered. But when she climbed up to the window, the door was suddenly burst open. To avoid being caught again, she jumped down without hesitation, sprinting towards the dense forest. The girl was kidnapped and about to be sold as a slave. So she seized the opportunity and ran into the forest, but soon she bumped into someone. The girl thought she would be captured again, but unexpectedly, that person's voice was as gentle as an angel's. That night, the Duchess brushed her hair, imagining how lovely it would look when it grew longer. "Child, are you lost? What's your name?" Lonnie didn't know the person before her, but instinct told her this wasn't a bad person. So she answered, "I'm Lonnie, can you help me?" The person immediately recognized the girl possessing the eye of truth. That was something only royal descendants could use. Even the current emperor didn't have such powerful ability before they could confirm the girl's identity. The knights who kidnapped her caught up Lonnie instantly became like a frightened rabbit, quickly hiding to one side. The silver-haired woman pointed the kidnappers in the opposite direction, but after she led them in a way, she found the bushes empty. However, they would meet again soon. At this time, the Duke, with the prince's help, had arrived at Port Impact to search. He firmly believed Lonnie was still here. After all, the kidnappers would act during dawn when guards were less vigilant, so he ordered that even ordinary houses shouldn't be overlooked. Meanwhile, Lonnie, who had been running all day, was almost at a house. She then cleansed Lonnie's bruises with holy water. When all the bruises were revealed, the Duchess's heart ached. But the next moment, she was caught again. Try to escape one more time, and I really won't let you off. The man's gloomy appearance made all the children sob in fear. Lonnie also forcefully covered her mouth to stay silent. Just then, someone came in saying something terrible had happened. Enemies were attacking, appearing to be noble soldiers. Lonnie knew it must be the Duke coming to save her. So she rushed out while the two were talking, quickly locking the door behind her. She rushed outside without wasting a moment, because she knew if she failed this time, she might never escape. But she didn't expect another door ahead, which wouldn't budge at all, while the kidnappers laughed or echoed behind her. Lonnie could only turn around to find another exit. She was terrified, wondering if she'd never return home. The next second, she crashed into a man, instinctively covering her head and crying in fear. "Please don't come near me, please," but then that familiar voice came. "Why were you living as a boy at the orphanage, child?" "My mother told me to," Lonnie replied. "I don't really know why." Lolo calmed down. "It's all right now, it's all right now." It was Lord Duke. At this moment, Brother Yes also rushed towards her eagerly. "I'm so glad you're safe. If we hadn't found you, I would have regretted it forever." Lonnie immediately threw herself into her brother's arms, afraid that this was all just a dream. Her tense nerves finally relaxed. She fell asleep just like that. After some time, they returned to the Duke's mansion. Lonnie woke up from her dream. She immediately threw herself in a madam's arms, crying. Everyone was immersed in the joy of recovering what was lost. The Duke's mansion returned to its former vitality. Everyone was competing for the privilege to spend time with Lonnie. Young Master Yes directly extended an invitation to Lonnie. And so everyone moved forward together towards a happy future. The orphan girl was actually of royal blood, but Lonnie felt no joy upon learning this. The Duchess understood. Perhaps her mother had feared she would be bullied. Instead, she chose to continue her current life. For her, this was her true home. Soon they all grew up, although Lonnie knew she possessed divine power. Life continued as usual. This was her simple and modest wish. Kind-hearted Lonnie became a volunteer to help the common people. But as the empire expanded with spirit fire, the number of war casualties grew daily, so the Mars family built an annex specifically for treating the wounded. Lonnie secretly used her divine power to heal those who were suffering. These years of experience made her more grateful to the Duke's family. This debt of gratitude could never be repaid, so she wanted to pass happiness to everyone around her. Just then, I brought a letter. Lonnie was extremely excited, guessing it was a reply from Brother Yes, who went to the battlefield. But unexpectedly, it was an invitation from the royal family. Princess Bianca and Lord Henry's birthday was approaching. Lonnie felt emotional. Due to the war, they hadn't seen each other for a long time. "You don't have to hide anymore," she reassured her. But only I knew this was the Duke's measure to prevent her from meeting Prince Henry. Just then, there was a knock at the door. A visitor arrived, claiming to look for their long-lost child. Over the years, countless people had come claiming kinship, but power detection proved them all false. Though Lonnie felt sad, she could quickly recover. Unknowingly, wrinkles had appeared on the Duchess's face. But in her eyes, Lonnie was still that little girl who hadn't grown up. However, the peaceful life was about to be disrupted. Today was the royal banquet. Lonnie attended with her brother and the Duchess. The girlfriend who hadn't met for long happily gathered to drink together. Prince Henry also hurried to make his presence known, seeing his shy expression. It was clear he still liked Lonnie, just as he did when they were young. Bianca, who was still shipping them, was startled by Andy's sudden appearance. She instantly became like a bristling cat. The two still fought playfully like they did as children. Lonnie couldn't help but ship them too, but she couldn't help thinking how nice it would be if Brother Yes were here. "You're safe here," Lonnie was overjoyed. The next day, the Duke arranged for Lonnie's identification papers. When thinking of Brother Yes, Lonnie's heart couldn't help but flutter, but after all these years, she still didn't understand what this feeling was. Seeing that others noticed, Lonnie shyly hurried to leave the scene, but she accidentally bumped into someone. Her divine power suddenly manifested without warning. To avoid revealing that she possessed divine power, Lonnie quickly bowed her head and apologized. Thus, she didn't see the woman in front of her. Unknown to her, the woman stared at her back, muttering to herself, "This girl looks very similar to the Lonnie I knew. Could that child be her? What's the connection between the orphan and the Emperor's lover?" Lady Castor encountered a familiar figure at the banquet. After investigating, she was surprised to discover that child was initially called Roni when she arrived at the Duke's mansion. However, she refused to believe it was her Lonnie. After all, she had personally confirmed the child's death years ago. Soon the Duchess learned about someone investigating and that it was Countess Castor's maid. The Duchess wondered why Lady Castor would investigate Lonnie, but the next moment she had a guess. Before Castor was married, she had disappeared for a year. He himself was her guarantor. Her full name was now Lonnie Evelyn Clay. Many speculated she was hiding to secretly give birth. Whatever the truth was, the Duchess couldn't ignore it. So she decided to take measures first. Soon it was time for Lonnie's birthday party. Almost all nobles attended, hearing they would announce Lonnie's official registration into the Duke's family. Thank you all for attending my birthday party. I hope everyone could have a good time. Most people were instantly captivated by Lonnie. She was not only cute but also graceful. However, a few people still had hostility in their eyes. Lonnie, with her divine power, could clearly sense it, but she didn't take it to heart. She just missed Brother Yes even more at times like this. While she was lost in thought alone, Andy quietly approached, worriedly asking if any young masters have been bothering her. Since our sister is so beautiful, how could others remain indifferent? So if anyone hears as you, just tell your brother. Andy got increasingly excited, causing quite a commotion. Lonnie didn't want to be watched like this, so she went outside alone to clear her mind. Clay was the surname of the Duke's noble lineage. It would benefit her education and future prospects. But she encountered more unpleasant comments. Finally, they even maliciously speculated about her relationship with the Duke. The Duke isn't here, why don't we go talk to her? Maybe we'll get along well. Several creepy men blocked her path and started harassing her. But the next second, Andy suddenly appeared. Such loose tongues. Seems the Mars family is quite amusing to you. The men were caught red-handed and panicked, but still thought it was a minor matter not worth pursuing. Andy thought differently. How dare they humiliate his beloved sister? Just as he was about to act, Lonnie pulled him back. Brother, we don't need to deal with people who don't respect noble reputations. The men realized and blushed with shame, all asking Andy to uphold justice, but Andy was very satisfied with his sister's response. Just then, a pleasant male voice came from not far away. It seems you've been living too comfortably. Lonnie was deeply grateful. She promised to study hard and learn to read and write. Yes gave the three men a good scolding, then Duke and Jai appeared. His fierce gaze immediately scared them so much they nearly wet themselves. Your families will never set foot on Mars family territory again. After the guards dragged them away, Lonnie happily threw herself into the Duke's arms. With tears in her eyes, she expressed how much she missed him. Then came Brother Yes. Just one look at each other and her heart skipped a beat. She couldn't calm down at all. This was Brother Yes lifting her high like when she was little, worriedly saying she was light as a feather, asking if she'd been eating properly. Lonnie's face instantly turned red, too shy to look up. The neglected Andy popped up seeking attention. The family returned to their usual lively atmosphere. The girl was kidnapped by a Marquis daughter when she was young, almost sold as a slave to another country. After the Duke investigated, he immediately bankrupted the Marquis family. I wanted to bring someone home to be your playmate, but it turns out it's a girl. Ronnie bowed repeatedly, apologizing and begged them not to send her away. She would do anything the Duke asked of her, then go out and play. Making the noble Marquis daughter become a maid to an illegitimate princess, you reap what you sow. However, even after such humiliation, Lydia still stayed, waiting for a chance to take revenge on Lonnie. Because the princess also liked the Duke's eldest son, Yes, but whenever Yes returned from battle, he would see Lonnie first. This made the princess very unhappy. What's so good about that girl? It's so annoying. Although in the princess's view, Lonnie was too ordinary to be a rival, she still found her very irritating. So the malicious princess gave Lydia a task to eliminate Lonnie by any means necessary. This played right into Lydia's hands. Soon, Countess Castor confirmed Lonnie's identity, though she didn't know why her supposedly dead daughter had appeared there. It was actually a good thing now. At the right moment, she could leverage this without mercy. Just by claiming her as an illegitimate child, she could better control the situation, then using her status as a count's daughter from marriage alliance. Lonnie was confused. She could create better conditions for her son. How? This was her only thought when she learned her daughter was alive. At this moment, Lonnie was at the training ground with brother Andy. The atmosphere between them was as close as when they were children. The sister complex, Andy held his sister's doll, preparing to build a snowman. The father and sons rarely agreed on something. In pairs, they began building snowmen. The Duke paired with Andy while Lonnie went with brother Yes. Just as Lonnie was lost in her own thoughts, she suddenly got hit in the face by a snowball from brother Yes. Instantly annoyed, she pounced on him, but he caught her hands instead. Her face immediately turned bright red with embarrassment, although she knew her feelings for brother Yes were different. She still couldn't understand what those feelings were until brother was called away by the Duke. She just stared at his back, lost in thought. A few days later, the Duchess told her husband about what she discovered through investigating the maid who previously cared for Castor and the letters between him and the Count. He's been hinting. They could confirm Lonnie was Castor's daughter. Lonnie possessed divine power, so the Duke reasonably suspected she was the bloodline of the former deposed crown prince. After all, they had been intimate at that time. The Duke and Duchess had ways to keep Lonnie and Castor completely separated. But what if Lonnie wanted to be with her birth mother? After all these years together, the Duke and Duchess had always treated Lonnie as their own child. Though reluctant, they respected Lonnie's wishes more. They just hoped the girl could follow her heart and live happily. The girl finally understood her feelings for brother, or what's called first love. Just now, the Duke again sought Lonnie's opinion, hoping she would consider joining the Duke's household registry. If you're willing, we welcome you anytime because we've long considered you family. With mixed feelings, Lonnie went out alone to clear her mind. Though she also loved everyone in the Duke's mansion and wanted to live with them forever, she had concerns. She felt joining the registry would damage the Mars Duke family's reputation. Having been under the Duke's protection since childhood, she wouldn't allow such a thing to happen. He wants to play with you. Just then, brother Yes rode up on horseback. He had noticed she wasn't in the mansion late at night and worried something might happen, came looking for her. I couldn't sleep, so I came out for a walk. You could be kidnapped like this. What would you do if I hadn't come? Lonnie pouted in disagreement. After all, she wasn't a child anymore. Since we're out, I can't just take you back without doing anything. Saying this, Yes extended his hand, inviting her to ride together. After Lonnie agreed, Yes lifted her up in one motion and for safety, placed her hands around himself. Now it seems she really couldn't enjoy her walk. Lonnie was shy the whole way, quietly nestled in her brother's embrace. Until the horse stopped, she realized the scenery here was incredibly beautiful. Yes smiled happily, seeing her expression gradually brightened. He asked very gently, "Does my Lolo have any wishes? I heard wishes made in snow-covered fields will surely come true." Before Lonnie could react, Yes said, "Then let me make a wish first. Even if it wasn't for Andy, a child's job is to play. I hope Lolo can live happily and carefree with us forever." At this moment, Lonnie finally understood that different feelings she had since first meeting brother Yes as a child. So this was what they called first love. For a moment, she didn't know how to face her brother and could only shyly suggest going back. Yes had his own guesses, seeing her reaction. Meanwhile, Countess Castor was thinking about whether the Duke's family would adopt Lonnie. She found it incredible that the Duke's family would treat Lonnie, who had no blood relation, as family. So she had a theory, but the Duke knew about Lonnie's divine power. Only then would everything make sense. After all, a girl with divine power would become a powerful card to expand Hal's influence. With ill intentions, she decided to confirm it herself. "Go to the Duke's mansion and bring Lady Lonnie here immediately. I have something important to tell her," since realizing her feelings for her brother. The girl had been in an excited state, unable to concentrate on anything. Just then, Ayn hurriedly came to report that an attendant had come to fetch her on behalf of her birth parents. Lonnie didn't take it seriously, having experienced many mix-ups over the years. However, this time seemed different because before that, the Duchess had something to say. "So go on, get to work." Soon the two were out on the lawn and he flopped down on the grass. "The person looking for you is connected to your birth mother." The Duchess told Lonnie the whole story, wanting to hear her thoughts. After a pause, the girl solemnly asked, "If I don't want to go, can we pretend we don't know?" The Duchess knew this wouldn't work, but even so, as long as Lonnie disagreed, they would risk everything to prevent it. But Lonnie was still afraid. If her royal divine power was discovered, they wouldn't let it go. Things might even get worse, but the royal family hadn't appeared yet, probably unaware of this matter. Just then, the butler hurriedly reported the Duke's message, asking Lady Lonnie to meet the people sent by Count Castor. They went downstairs together. The man introduced himself as Count Castor's butler. Patterson sent to escort Lady Lonnie. "My lady, you might be the Countess's long-lost daughter, so we hope you'll come with us to confirm." And beckoned Lonnie to sit beside him. All right, young master, Lonnie, why do you always call me young master? Can't you call me brother? After just seconds of thought, Lonnie firmly refused. I don't know either Countess Castor or you, so I won't leave with you. The man immediately brought up the temple, saying this invitation had official temple approval, but Lonnie still refused, saying even the temple had no right to force her. Then Yes suddenly appeared, firmly stating, please leave. She won't go with you. The butler remembered the Countess's words, if Lonnie strongly refused, don't force her. So he apologized, bowed, and turned to leave. This place, however, just as everyone breathed a sigh of relief, urgent voices came from outside. Emergency, the royal family has sent people. Someone reported the young lady for impersonating nobility. The next second, a squad of soldiers burst in. Excuse us, by order of the princess, we're here to take the criminal away. The girl was reported by the villainous princess. She was about to be arrested by guards for impersonating nobility. The Duke was furious. He was determined to protect Lonnie. How could I dare? I can't be so disrespectful to the young master, and he was a little disappointed, but he let it go. Whatever the charge, this child is a noble. She cannot be forcibly taken away under any circumstances. After saying this, he drove all the guards out. Lonnie then remembered that when she was young, to register her in the Duke's family, they had used a dying family surname for her. So this issue had always been a hidden danger. Seeing everyone busy and worried about this, she felt very guilty and made a silent resolution. Meanwhile, Avon at the temple learned the news. He seemed distracted all day. He hoped the Holy Maiden would help when the time came, but the Holy Maiden knew Lonnie was actually royalty and would face troubles in the future. Worried sick, Avon still decided to visit the young lady. That night, Lonnie packed her bags and left the Duke's mansion to avoid causing more trouble for everyone. This was all she could do. Just then, Lewin caught up with her. Lonnie finally broke down. She actually didn't want to leave. When you feel more comfortable, then you can call me brother, but you must call me brother from now on. Thinking of all these years living like family with everyone, she couldn't take a step forward, but besides leaving, she felt helpless. I must look ridiculous saying I'll leave but dawdling around. Lewin immediately comforted Lonnie. Actually, I don't want young lady to leave. I believe everyone feels the same. Besides, don't you like young master you? Lonnie embarrassedly tried to deny it, but Lewin had always known since childhood. It's all right, just like who I like is my business. Who you like is your freedom, so please return to the mansion. This isn't your fault. Everyone at the Duke's mansion truly loves you, so don't leave, if not for yourself then for them. Lonnie was moved by these sincere words. She decided to face this crisis. Soon the trial began. Even the emperor personally attended to witness. The princess had a smug look on her face. She ordered people to bring in the Cray family's daughter, complete with identity cards and seals. Lonnie hesitated to link pinkies. Seeing this, Andy grabbed her hand, then lay back on the grass, satisfied. Now they just needed the temple's divine power to investigate. However, the princess demanded Lonnie to resonate with this so-called young lady. If their bloodlines were different, it would be life-threatening. At this point, the Duke finally spoke before this. Shouldn't we verify that young lady's identity first? Perhaps she's the one impersonating nobility. The man was clearly nervous, as everyone was at an impasse. The Holy Maiden suddenly arrived, and with her came Lonnie. I heard someone wanted to put me on trial, so I came. The princess looked contemptuous. She mocked Lonnie thoroughly. Unexpectedly, Lonnie directly admitted she indeed was a noble. The two villains were extremely pleased. However, in the next moment, Lonnie said something that shocked everyone. Actually, I'm a royal princess. When accused of impersonating nobility, I'll reveal my true identity.